I know this is gonna sound really weird, but I have a slight addiction. A slight addiction to oranges. When I tell you, last week, I spent, do you know what? I spent about £33 just on oranges across the weekly shop. And not just like, just the oranges, because there's several different oranges. I don't know if they got called other things. Anyway, it's these ones that you like peel. It's the easy peelers. I'm not talking about the ones that you suck, like these ones that you peel. I don't know what's happened over the last couple of months. Oh! It's squared! Did you see it?
You can take me high. Maybe I just wanna see ya. I go anywhere if you be there. Feels like I can fly. Think I'm gonna break the ceiling. I just wanna keep this feeling. You can take me.
Wow. Look at this. Look at this. We have what looks like a circus. In fact, you know what? It doesn't look like a circus. It is a circus. Wow, you know what? Things like this just fascinate me. The fun fairs, the circuses, because it's like, they're so big, right? But yet they're so transportable. Is that the right word? Transportable. They're like transportably. Is that the word? Anyway, you know what I mean. Like, this thing moves. Look how big it is. Should we go up here to get a better view? Oh. Wow. This, you know what it reminds me of? So when I go to festivals and I have my tent I put up, hey, I can barely put my tent up. If my mates weren't there to help me put my tent up, I would just be sleeping on the grass. But I don't think I can ever complain now about putting my tent up when it's someone's job to put this tent up. As some of you might know, I'm not the best with the sports side of things. I'm not a good sporter. But what some of you might not know is I am good with the balls. The juggling balls. I am a very good juggler. Now, unfortunately, you're just gonna have to take my word for it, because there's just no way for me to show you, because I can't go inside the circus and ask to borrow their juggling balls. It just so happens that we do have some balls. We have the orange balls and a toilet roll. Right, what do you juggle with? 3 balls. 3 balls, isn't it? Right, we've got 3 balls. Now, this could go not the best, because I haven't juggled in a little while. There are people over there, and I'm pretty sure there's a couple of circus people behind the fence. They're like, since I started walking over there with the camera, they're like a bit intrigued as to what I'm doing. So this could go really well, because they could like see me and think, oh my God, let me, what's it called? Like headhunt. They could headhunt me and bring me into the circus. Anyway, should we get like a drum roll? No one saw. Oh, right, should we do it once more? Oh, okay, stop. Okay, no one saw. Yes, they did. Wait, do I still eat them? I don't know what's going on. I think I'll stick to the day job. You know what? I think we're gonna head as far over that way as we can, so no one over that way will ever see me again. For a minute there, I lost track of what the hell we were doing. What are we doing? We're standing in the middle of a field. There's a circus over there. I was just juggling oranges. What is going on? Right, compose. I'll tell you what's going on. X5, vlogging with the X5. Now, You know what it is? Nothing major, but there's a few things that I've picked up on, settings, tips, and all this kind of stuff that I've just put together because over the last couple of videos of over the last videos I've made with the X5, they've all been vlog style, and when I've been testing it out, it's all been kind of out and about, vlog style and all that stuff. So I thought, you know what, there are a few things that I've noted down, and especially if you're new to the 360 camera world, I hope and I know will help some of you out there. I always advise, right, when you're watching settings videos, not just mine, anyone's, do your own tests, right? Do your own tests first before you press record properly. As in, if you're shooting tomorrow and you're watching 5 settings videos today, you might have taken away certain things from each video that you then want to implement in your setup, which is fine, but do some tests first, because when you actually watch it back, I might say this is the best setting to put. You watch it back, you're saying, James, what the hell are you on about? It doesn't sound or look great, and you might want to adjust it. So always do your own tests first before you actually get out and press record properly. Okay, so let's actually get down to business. First things first, the most important thing alongside visuals is audio, and this is going to be assuming you're taking the camera straight out of the box, not connecting any external mics or anything, so you're using the onboard setup. Now you'll see there's about 5 different audio modes to choose from, and one of the modes is voice enhancement. So when you're vlogging and you're talking to the camera like this, my head, when I first saw the list, said, right, we're going to be putting it in voice enhancement pretty much all the time, because when I'm waffling onto the camera like this, I want to be heard, I want to be loud, I want to be clear and all that. But then in the test that I did after that with the different modes, I found that auto wind reduction strong was actually better on the voice. That's what I think sounds better. Right, so I've now switched the audio mode over to voice enhancement. So far throughout this whole video, it's been in auto wind reduction strong. The camera is exactly the same distance as it has been throughout this segment, and I'm obviously speaking the same. I just prefer the way my voice sounds in auto wind reduction strong, which is weird because if I looked at it on paper, I can't, you know, I can't even speak. You know what? It is 30 degrees today. Now I know some of you in these hot countries and all this, just say, "Oh, James, shut up." This is not normal over it. We are entering a this is maxi. We're entering heat wave season. Next week it's going to be 34. I feel like I'm in Florida. Oh my gosh. But yes, so it is very hot. So I'm struggling to get my words out, and the camera's actually getting really hot as well. So I hope it's going to last. Where else are we? Well, so at least you'll be able to hear what voice enhancement sounds like. There you go. Right. The other thing with audio is, there is a new wind muff guard that's been added to the X5, right? From other, I told you, that wasn't there on other models. Now, I thought that this microphone, which is at the back of the camera, so the opposite side of the screen, I thought that that's going to be like the main microphone. So that's really where you need to be speaking into when you're vlogging around like this. In fact, it's not. Because when I did that straight out of the box, I listened to the stuff back, I was like, surely not. What am I doing wrong? This just does not sound good. You could hardly hear me at some moments. It's because I actually, in fact, realized that that is not the best camera to be speaking into. So again, so far throughout this whole video, the screen has been facing up, right? So it's facing towards me, and we've obviously got a mic just above the screen. I'm now going to twist the X5 round so the screen is facing to the floor and the wind muff mic is facing me now. So I've twisted the camera around. So everything is in exactly the same position. The camera, I'm obviously speaking the same. Can you hear a difference? I can't even hear the difference right now because obviously I'm speaking, I'm not listening to it back, but I know there is going to be a difference. So what I'm trying to say with this is, don't do what I did and go out with the screen facing down, vlog into it. Oh look, got a little dog. With the screen facing down to it, you want to have the wind muff microphone facing to the floor, and you want to be speaking towards the screen. And with positioning then comes distance, and pretty much throughout this whole video so far, the X5 has been this distance away from my face, my eyes, my mouth, my lips, my nose, my head, my hair. And this is what works for me. And you probably realized throughout this video, I do speak pretty loudly, so I can afford to push the X5 further away and still be heard. But this goes back to what I was saying earlier, do your own tests, because the further away you push the camera, like anything, the less you're going to be heard, especially if you speak quite lowly. let's be lowly. Is lowly a word? It is now. If you speak quite lowly, so you might need to do, well, you will need to do your own test, but don't forget, if it is quite lowly, you could turn up the levelings in post. But yeah, just be careful, because it's easy to stick the camera on a selfie stick as far away as possible to get that wide shot, and then you're waffling on and no one can actually hear you that well. So say it with me. Do your own tests when it comes to the distance. And talking of distance, what a perfect time to talk about distance. The circus seems like it's just started. I can hear the kind of just in the background. Can you hear it? That'd be quite crazy if the microphones are picking up this distance, considering we're here and that's all the way over there. But the last thing about audio is, when you're using the X5, most of the time it's going to be attached to a selfie stick, and that selfie stick may have these things, little legs at the bottom that either screw on or are built in. So this is really important, because when you're walking and you're holding the stick at the bottom where the legs are, they click, they clack, and all of that kind of stuff, and then all these little noises get picked up in the microphone. You can probably hear it now as I'm doing it. So be careful where you hold the selfie stick if you do have legs attached to it. If you don't, then obviously ignore this, but if you do, just be careful, because there's been many times where I've been holding it in the wrong place and you can hear the clicks and clacks, and you don't want that in your vlog. Audio done. The next most important thing, or just as important thing, is of course visuals. Now, we're not going to go through the resolutions and frame rates and all this kind of stuff. You know what, actually really quickly we will just put it in 360 mode, 8K. I do it in 25 frames per second, but it might be different for you based on where you are around the earth or what look you're going for. I know you've got Insta frame mode and all that. I'm not a massive fan of it because the quality is so poor, but that's a conversation for another day. So for this, we're going to be in 360 mode, 8K 25. The first thing I want to talk about with this is the sharpness. Now, if you've watched some of my other settings videos with the other kind of cameras, I pretty much, I would say most of the time, in fact all of the time, have said put the sharpness to like -2, off, to low, whatever the setting is, turn it low. With the X5, I am no longer saying put the sharpness to low, because I actually think it's too low. I have now switched the sharpness to low. I'm going to go in the sun so you can see me even clearer, and hopefully you will be able to see a difference, because the difference is quite like in your face difference. The camera is exactly the same distance from me and everything else is exactly the same, apart from the sharpness is now set to low throughout this whole video so far, and my go-to is having the sharpness in medium. I think high is too high and can sometimes make you look older than you are, especially on the face. It does, yeah, some weird stuff sometimes, but low is just too low. And I know you can add sharpness in post and all that stuff, but I've done the test and it's not the same. It's not the same as it coming straight out of camera. So it does what it says on the tin. Medium is literally the middle ground, and I think the best bet. Now, if you can't see any difference right now with it being in low, and when you do your own test, it might be one of them situations where you don't notice it until you notice it, which might be too late. So please do your own test with this. But when you're vlogging like this and your face is on show, of course you want your face to be gleaming and everyone to be able to see it nice and crystal clear. You don't want any blurriness. So I'll say it one more time. Do not set the sharpness to low, because it's too low. In fact, it comes out blurry. Don't set it to high, because you might add 20 years onto your age. Set it to medium. Regular viewers to the channel will, oh, there's bugs. There are bugs. Regular viewers of the channel will know I'm not a massive fan of the bugs. Regular viewers of the channel will also know that my favorite film is Toy Story, which means that I love the aliens. But do I want to look like the alien? No, not really. But in my previous video with the X5, I was holding the X5 out in front of me like this. It wasn't extended on a selfie stick, so I was holding it essentially like a normal camera. I'm watching the footage back, I'm like, oh, my head looks pretty big. I realized that having it like that, when you come to reframe it, you're not left with a massive choice to reframe, because the camera's so close to your face, which means that when you do reframe it, it just makes your head look quite big compared to everything else, which can, I guess, put you in the alien category. So what I'm saying again is just be careful. If you hold it out in front of you like a normal camera, it's definitely doable. You can definitely use it. And actually there was quite a few comments on my previous couple of videos with X5 that said the same thing about the head. The head is just massive. The other thing I've noticed with the head situation is the hat. I wear a hat in most of my videos. When I tried to do a couple of videos with my hair done, again, if you've seen it, you'll realize I had to go to the toilet because there was so much wind. At that time, there was so much wind. Where was I? Tenerife. I think it was in Tenerife. Anyway, we're getting off the track. We're getting off track. So, yes, when you're wearing a hat, it does also make the head look even bigger. So be careful, but say it with me. Do your own tests first before you go out and just hold it in front of you like a normal camera, because you might not like the alien look. One of the many magic features with the X5 is the magic, oh no, no, it's up my nose. Do you know how many times I have to retake this? He says, standing in the middle of a field, that he chose to do this whole video. Wait, why am I saying he? I'm saying, as in, I chose to do this whole video in the middle of this field. Can you hear the circus? It's back on. It's back on. Should I get my balls out? No, not my. No. Stop. Not my balls. My balls in my bag. You know, my orange balls. Remember them? Right, where was we? One of the magic features on the X5, or any 360 camera for that matter, is the magical stitch line, which essentially stitches everything together. Try not to have the action, i.e. you, if you're vlogging like this, on the stitch line, because sometimes it can make things look a little bit weird. So right now, in fact, this whole video, all of the action, being me, has been in front of the lens like this. If I now turn the X5 to the side, so we've got lenses facing left and right, and I'm essentially speaking to the battery port, you can still see me obviously, but the line is now probably visible over my face, which can sometimes look a bit weird and maybe put me in the alien category. Maybe not that bad, because you know what, over the years the stitching has got so good compared to what it was at the beginning. But if you've got the line crossing over things like words and stuff, sometimes it can look a bit weird because it doesn't show the full word, or if it's over the face like this, it might look a bit weird with the line being over your face and all that stuff. But if you do have issues with the optical flow stitching, which is the default, I think, in the Insta360 Studio, there's a new option, AI stitching. If you ever have any issues with the stitching, in all of the tests that I've done so far, without fail, the AI stitching has actually been better than the optical flow stitching. So have the action in front of one of the lenses where you can, especially on a face or words or stuff like that. And if you have any issues with the stitch line, change it from optical flow stitching to AI stitching. It's time to play a game. I have changed one setting on the camera, everything else is the same. Can you visibly see what is different? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Everything's a little bit more vividy. Now, I'm a massive fan of the vividiness. Vividiness, is it a word? It is a word now. If you've watched my other videos, again, you'll see that yes, my color profile, my go-to color profile is the more vivid color. On the X5, you've got standard, and then you've got vivid, and then you've got flat as an option. So I put it in vivid, and I did some tests, and I walked around, and then I watched the footage back, and I was like, no, turn it off. The problem is, it's too vividy, in my opinion. So do not turn vivid on, because once it's on, it's baked in. If you shoot in standard and you get back and you want to increase the saturation to make it more vivid, that's easily done, because you're then in control of how much saturation you add. If you shoot in vivid, like I said, it's baked in and it's harder to turn it off and reverse it. So I'm saying standard all the way. I told you, nothing major, just a few things to note, a few things I've noted down over the past few times of using the X5 and editing together. Every time I'm editing, I always have my little notes, writing down what I visually see, hearily hear? What's the word that goes there? Hearily hear. Visually see, hearily hear. Anyway, yeah. I'm not saying everything I've gone through is, like I said, set in stone. It's just what's worked for me and stuff that I've picked up. But I said it at the beginning, I've said it a million times throughout this whole video, say it with me. Do your own tests first, and everything, especially the visual stuff, is going to mean nothing if you don't make sure the lenses are clean. So every time you put it down and before you press record, just give it a wipe. You'll fake yourself later. Trust me, even a speck of dust on it can change the whole image. And that is that. So there's only one thing left to do now. Get my balls out and go to the circus.